The Xinxi tribe was once a proud and mighty civilization, its banners flying high over the conquered lands of neighboring clans. Through strength and diplomacy, they had unified the scattered tribes under one rule, forging an empire that stretched across vast plains and towering mountains. The Emperor of Xinxi ruled with an iron fist, his ambition insatiable, his hunger for expansion never waning. However, no empire lasts forever. Li had once been a blade of the Empire, a commander who had led campaigns into the northern wastes, but war had taken enough from him. Dream of living a peaceful life in his farmland. His hope was soon shattered as the messenger arrived. Leaving his family behind, he returned back to the army camp and met his old friend, Liang. During their march in the morning, the sky roared with bombardment, scattering their ranks, ripping through the earth and drowning the field in chaos and screams. As Silent returned back, the troops were puzzled as no casualties were reported. Those struck by the strange green liquid merely wiped it from their armor and faces as if it had never touched them. But trouble doesn't end here. At midnight, Li was disturbed by a physician. Those touched by the green liquid had begun to weaken, their bodies failing, their minds slipping. Then came the proof. He unveiled a corpse, its skin split, fungus blooming from its eyes and mouth, twisting like roots claiming soil. Li's spine turned to ice. This wasn't an illness. It was something far more unnatural. Fearing the sickness could spread, the physician offered only one solution. By morning, the march resumed. Behind them, flames roared as the infected were put to the torch, their screams echoing across the troops' ears. At night, Li and Liang managed to escape into a forest, losing their tail to the creatures. However, they are now lost in the woods. They knew they had to find food and shelter soon. Luckily, they found a village, but it was the enemy's territory. They sneak around, stealing food and water, but they were soon discovered. As they were about to get caught, a helping hand led them into a cave. The stranger soon reveals itself as an outcast from the village. The outcast provided them food and shelter, revealing the truth about the war. The Cymantic tribe had never hid their own existence from the world. Known for their deep connection to nature and the ancient spirits of the forest, they welcomed trade and diplomacy, sending envoys to distant tribes just as any other peaceful tribe would. But not all shared this harmony-driven vision. Among their council stood Nivros, a fierce and ambitious tribe leader. He scoffed at the tribe's pacifism, urging his kin to abandon diplomacy and adopt the ruthless ways of the Xinxi Empire. Most council members dismissed him, clinging to the old ways. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. One grim season, the Empire of Xinxi surged southward, carving into Cymantic lands. Their soldiers tore through the sacred forests, setting fire to ancient groves and slaughtering their precious animals. The earth bled, and the air turned to ash. In desperation, the Cymantic sent delegates bearing peace offerings, but Emperor of Xinxi answered with silence and blood. Outraged, the council turned. What was once Nivros's mad ambition now became prophecy. For the first time in centuries, the Cymantic roared for war. From the shadowed heart of the woods, they summoned their terrible creatures and vowed to vanquish the Empire of Xinxi. At the break of dawn, Li and Liang rode across the scorched plains on the back of a dumux, a towering, thunderous beast that raced faster than any imperial horse. The wind howled past them, their cloaks trailing like war banners behind, but speed could not undo fate. They were too late. Xinxi's proud capital was already engulfed in chaos. The once impenetrable walls now lay in ruin, shattered by relentless force. Smoke coiled into the sky. Streets ran red. The imperial army had been annihilated, and its people hunted like animals. As Li and Liang neared the outer city, disaster struck. The dumux was slammed violently from the side, toppling like a mountain. The riders were flung through the air and crashed to the ground, dazed but alive. And then the shadow came. It wasn't just a shadow. It was a monstrous centipede looming above them, its size so immense that it swallowed the light. Its eyes shimmered like molten hate. Without a word, Li and Liang turned and ran, vaulting over broken carts and fallen pillars in a desperate attempt to escape. But the centipede was relentless. Walls crumbled beneath its segmented weight. Nothing could slow it. Every hiding spot turned to rubble in seconds. Just when its many eyes fixed on them, a horn blast echoed through the air, clear, loud, and brave. The beast reeled for a moment, distracted. Li and Liang didn't waste the chance. They slipped into the smoke-choked alleys and rounded a corner, only to find the last of the resistance locked in brutal combat with the invading Cymantic army. Without hesitation, they drew their blades and joined the fray, their swords singing through the air. Together, they carved a path through the enemy ranks, turning the tide with sheer resolve and fury. Hope returned to the eyes of their comrades, but hope, like peace, was fragile. A bang cracked across the battlefield. The centipede had returned. It crashed into the resistance lines, scattering soldiers like leaves in a storm. The battlefield became a slaughterhouse. Li saw an opening. With a leap of faith, he brought his blade down, slicing the beast clean in half. The beast screams in pain. However, it was not over. The severed body emerged a new head. Now there were two. No matter how many we brought down, they kept coming, an endless tide of flesh and steel. Like the sea, they had no end, and even in death, we'd never touched the bottom.